सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्
वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्
वसुदेवसुतं देवम्
वसुदेवसुतं देवम्
कंसचाणूरमर्दनम्
कंसचारूरमर्दनम्
देवकी परमानन्दम्
देवकी परमानन्दम्
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासात्
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासात्
ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते
ज्ञानाध्यानम् विशिष्यते
ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः
ज्ञानाफलपरत्यागः
त्यागात् शान्ति अनन्तरम्
त्यागा शान्ति अनन्तरम्.
So this the shlok which we say is 12th shlok of 12th chapter, which basically summarizes the entire teaching. So when we say the shlok, we say what exactly the content of Bhagavad Gita Shastra. That's the reason it is good to memorize this shlok and say few times a day, and then we not just say the shlok but play the meaning in the mind also, and then it reminds us what is the teaching here. So 12th shlok of 12th chapter. So we'll continue with our, okay, there was a good 2 weeks of break. Everybody, I think, I'm sure, had a good time. And sometimes it happens when we come out of vacation, then it's like a school. We forget, and here in these days, we forget the password and the user ID and all those things, right? So at the same time, even the teaching goes away too, right? And that's the reason there is a prescription we should read Bhagavad Gita every day, right? So we'll continue with our third chapter. We are on our third chapter, which is Karma Yoga. And last time we'll revise what we did last time. So we are on, last time we finished at 30th shlok. Still Bhagavan is describing the principle of Karma Yoga. And while in the up to 31st shlok, which we'll cover today, the entire Karma Yoga is covered, which was started in second chapter. We know that second chapter has few shlok on Karma Yoga. But this third chapter is expansion of what Bhagavan told in the second chapter. We can say second chapter is Karmanyevadhikaraste, the famous shlok, which was just Bhagavan gave a glimpse of Karma Yoga. Here he is describing all the nuts and bolts of Karma Yoga. So we'll just repeat 38 and then we move forward with the next part. Right? So in this part, Bhagavan is telling, and there is a question also came. We'll touch base that question at 8:40. So related to this part, right? Which is good. Always when there is a question, we revisit and we find the answers in Bhagavad Gita. So we saw last time, if you look at the summary also, that Bhagavan talked about a technique here, the technique which is kind of encapsulate the Karma Yoga. And this technique, Bhagavan has given 5 factors in Shlok 30, we'll read it. So those 5 factors are described in the Shlok. And if we follow these 5, Bhagavan says that, well, you will not be bound by the karma phal. Or people say the karma binds, but not karma, which is karma phal which binds. That's what Bhagavan is going to say. So let's repeat 30th Shlok of 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya dhyatma cetasa Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
yuddhasva vikatajvaraha.
yugyata vigatasvara.
So, isliye hey Arjun, now he's continuing from previous shlok where he's saying that, and we'll talk about that in the previous shlok. He says karma is happening because of the guna of prakriti, and we'll continue with that in next few shlok. But he's continuing and he's saying, isliye hey Arjun, because karma, prakriti guna, because of prakriti guna, actions are happening. Sometimes we feel that I am doing something. Bhagavan is clarifying, you are not doing something. You feel like you're doing something. It is the prakriti, which, and we have talked about number of times, 14th chapter, we'll again go back to prakriti. But this is a very, very fundamental of our Vedantic, or the entire, even that covers all the thought originated in Bharat, that the prakriti is there. Prakriti has maya, and because of maya, everything is working. We think that I am doing, but it is happening. And we next few shlok will clarify that. Right? So Bhagavan is saying, इसलिए हे अर्जुन, ध्यान निष्ठ चित्त से संपूर्ण कर्मों को मुझ में समर्पण करके आशा रहित, ममता रहित होकर संताप रहित हुआ युद्ध कर.
Renouncing all actions in me with thoughts resting on the self, free from hope and attachment, fight without mental fever.
Yeah. So the key word here used here is vikata jvara, which is mental fever means the anxiety, depression, all kind of mental disturbances, we can say. Vikat jvara. Jvara means in Ayurveda, jvara is like fever. But Bhagavan is, fever is always mental. बॉडी फीवर तो हम लोग ऐसे भी जानते हैं कि अभी डॉक्टर बड़ा इजी होता है, किसी को बॉडी फीवर तो हम खुद ही टाइलनॉल ले लो यार ठीक हो जाएगा. बट दिस इज नॉट अबाउट टाइलनॉल. मेंटल फीवर डजंट गो with Tylenol, right? There is a bigger problem, anxiety, depression, all those kind of things. So Bhagavan is saying, how do we get it? And then at the end, Bhagavan says, Yuddhasva, means Arjun, and it is like that, right? If I have a headache, I cannot write exam. If I have to go for exam or anything, like, if I have to, I'm working on a project, and if I'm at work, if I have mental fever, like, or I have some mental anxiety, then I cannot perform well. So Bhagavan is saying yuddhasva, because you have to complete your karma, which is yuddha, right, at this time. So get rid of all these things. So like we get jvara, which is mental anguish. How we do that? So Bhagavan has given 5 factors basically. The first is adhyatma chetasa. That means set a goal. And adhyatmic goal is only one. Chitta shuddhi, or raising the Sattva guna. That is the only adhyatmic goal. What we are doing is, Swadhyaya is adhyatmic goal. Why we are doing it? Raising the Sattva guna. That's the goal of any spiritual practice. Raising the Sattva guna. And we'll talk about gun many times. Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. Our goal is to raise Sattva guna, and the ultimate goal is to go beyond Sattva guna. And that term very nicely you tossed in Bhagavad Gita. And that term is Gunatit Bhava Arjun. Arjun ने पूछा 6th chapter में, भगवान उसके बाद क्या? Bhagavan is saying the ultimate goal is Gunatit Bhava Arjun. You have to transcend all these guna, because this guna is nothing but prakriti, which is maya, which is, we call it nature, whole creation. But you have to go beyond that, because unless you are bound by the whole prakriti, and karma comes under prakriti. So Gunatit, we transcend the guna. That's the goal. So Adhyatmic set Bhagavan says Adhyatma Cheta, set a goal. Our goal is very clear. And there are steps. We have talked about number of times how to reach to that. Then he says Sanyasya Karmani. Sanyas ka matlab yahan par sanyas is not that sanyas ashram. The word sanyas means properly establishing something is sanyas. So when I properly establish myself in the 4th ashram of family life, that is sanyas ashram. Here sanyas means surrendering or making a calling. So Bhagavan is saying, what is the calling? To me. I should be your goal of life. Surrender everything to me. Bhagavan in any form. Doesn't matter it's Krishna or Rama or even divinity or Om. But some calling should have. Divine calling. Then Bhagavan says, Nirashi Bhava. The word he has used, Nirashi. Nirashi means, Asha means expectation. Nirasha means reduced expectation. Let's not say no expectation. It's a step-by-step process. Bhagavan says, reduce the expectation. And our biggest problem is the anxiety, is the mental fever is because of expectation. We have expectation, and expectations are fulfilled or sometimes not fulfilled. If it is fulfilled, I'm anxious because there is a fear behind expectation fulfillment that what will happen next? I'm going to lose it again. And if it is not fulfilled, then I'm anxious. So Bhagavan says, Nirashi Bhava. It's a practice. And Samatvam Yoguchyate, Bhagavan has already said that. Nirmama means that attachment, that this is my self-centeredness. Mama means my, me. So I'm self-centered. And that's a problem. That's a burden. So Bhagavan says, reduce that self-centeredness. And that's why the whole practice is like we believe everyone is same, and there are various ways we have to get out of that self-centeredness. And then Bhagavan says that then you become santap rahit, means vigata jvara. This mental fever will go away. And then you are ready for the youth. That is actually, that's a very, very nicely in one shloka, the entire Karma Yoga is described. Do this, and you are free of mental problems, your peace of mind, and then do the karma, anything. Here Bhagavan is talking about youth because this is in the context Arjun. But anything we do, we should have that like peace of mind. There should not be no jwar, the feverless body or feverless mind. And then do the karma. And then automatically what you will do will become a karma. So that is 30th shloka. We'll continue with the next. In next 3-4 shloka, Bhagavan little bit elaborate the same thing, but in a very different. So we'll read 31. So Dayanand Saraswati ji, my Guruji from Ashvidya Gurukulam, he used to say very nicely about this whole karma concept when we do with Shantaman, that if you're doing karma with nirmama bhav, means it's not mind, self-centeredness. It's like there is a shloka, right? Ayam nijo paro veti ganana lahu chetsam udar charita nam to vasudhaiva kutumbam. The narrow-minded people say that this is mine, this is yours, this is mine, this is yours. That mamatva. When yours say, that is also mamatva for you. But so he says that our shlok says that this is narrow-minded. Udar charita nam, the people who are broad-minded, who are not self-centered. Vasudhaiva kutumbam. The entire Vasudha is kutumbam. That means everyone is my relative, including plant, animal. That's our vision, right? Vasudhaiva kutumbam. So Swamiji used to say that when you do duty, which is karma, duty means karma, then you have humility. But if you have right, I say, this is my right, then there is a fight. Very nicely. So if you are right, if you are working for right, then there will be a fight. If you are working as a duty, then there will be a humility. So that's what Bhagavan is saying in this shloka, in a nutshell. So we'll read 30 first shloka. Again, 3rd chapter, 31st shloka. Ye me matam idam nityam.
Ye me matam idam nityam.
Anutishtanti manavaha.
Anutishtanti manavaha.
Shraddhavanto anasuyanto.
Shraddhavanto anasuyanto.
Chante te api karma bhi.
Chante te api karma bhi.
आपका हिंदी में तो आप पढ़ सकते हैं, मैं पढ़ता हूँ हिंदी में. You are in English.
आप पढ़िए, हमारे पास हिंदी वाला नहीं है.
So, हे अर्जुन, जो कोई भी मनुष्य दोष बुद्धि से रहित श्रद्धा से युक्त हुए सदा ही मेरे इस मत के अनुसार वर्तते हैं, वे पुरुष संपूर्ण कर्मों से छूट जाते हैं.
Those men who constantly practice this teaching of mine, full of shraddha and without cavilling, they too are liberated from actions.
Yeah, so here it's a very simple shloka, but Bhagavan is saying in a very simple words that, see, whenever we are going for a learning, Bhagavan says, anusuyante, dosh rahit anusuyante means not looking for just critical angle everything. So, adhyatmic teaching or any other teaching, but adhyatmic is very clear, right? We can have jigyasa, which is curiosity, but we should not doubt See, that's one thing. Like Bhagavad Gita, we are reading Bhagavad Gita or any Shastra, and that's the reason the teaching comes from ancestors. Now we know that Bhagavad Gita or Ramayana or any other Shastra, it is established, right? There is a teaching there. Now we should not doubt that. If we doubt, then doubt takes over Shraddha. So then you can't do the learning. You can still have jigyasa, curiosity. Or kaise hota hai? That's why Arjun is asking. So many questions Arjun has asked. Bhagwan allowed. But Arjun never had doubt. That's what he said, that Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. I am your Shishya, I am surrendering to you. Mujhe puri Shraddha hai. So that's why Bhagwan is saying that the people anusuyanta means not with a doubtful mind. When they anutishtanti, means when they perform or they follow the teaching. Me matam. Matam is my teaching. My teaching means Bhagwan is not saying his teaching, but any teaching. This time it is Bhagavad Gita. Then they'll overcome the bondage of karma. Otherwise, karma binds. So he's just, this shlok is he inserted and basically reminding that you should have that Shraddha, curiosity, then the learning takes place. But what happens, like typically, and I give one typical example, sometimes I talk on Ramayana in some other forum. And some people, after listening to, we are talking about Ramcharita, so many good things, and they'll come up with the question, why did Bhagavan Ram left Sita? Read the entire Ramayana, read everything, and then, so we start doubting Bhagavan Sri Ram's character. That's the problem. Then teaching never takes place. You will always be in that logic of rational, irrational thing. So Adhyatma is not about that. So if you don't have Shraddha, that's what our Shastra says, they don't even read that. Or if you have question, you can ask. That's the reason there are Acharyas, there is a Parampara. So that's what Bhagavan in this shlok. So that next shlok is continuation of the same. We'll read that next shlok also. This is 32nd shlok. Ye te dvat abhyasuyanto
ये त्वेदम् अभ्यसूयन्तो
nanu tishtanti me matam
नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम्
sarvajnana vimudans tana
सर्वज्ञानाभिमूढांस्तान्
viddhi nashtana chetasah.
विद्धि नष्टान चेतसः। परंतु जो मनुष्य मुझ में दोषारोपण करते हुए मेरे इस मत के अनुसार नहीं चलते, उन मूर्खों को तू संपूर्ण ज्ञान में मोहित और नष्ट हुए ही समझ।
But those who carp at this teaching of mine and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge and senseless, know them to be ruined.
Right. So now continuation. वहाँ पर उन्होंने बोला था doubt, people who doubt. Here also he is saying, don't doubt and you will be free. But here saying abhisuyanta means fault finders. And you know, fault finding in medical science, I mean, I'm sure doctor friends will. It's a disorder. It's a personality disorder. And that's why, yes, Shivaji, I'm right? It is kind of a personality disorder. People fault finding in everything. And that's what he's saying. Abhisuyanta. Har cheez mein, Shastra mein bhi, why it is wrong? There is unless there is a Shraddha, the teaching never comes down to you. You keep so that's what Bhagavan is saying. And typically we all have, human mind is fault finding. We have some fault finding characteristics. So those ढूंढने की आदत होती है ना. वो जैसे there used to tell a joke that typical Desi parents have, the kids say that our Desi parents have fault finding. So he got the report card. He said, okay, A, B. How come there is a B here? Hey, come on, can you appreciate my A's, dad, mom, three, 4 subjects? You're looking for the B? That's the problem. Desi kids make the fun of Desi parents. I know that. But always they'll find where is the B, where is the C. That's what Bhagavan is saying. In the teaching also we do that. इसमें क्या नहीं है? Let's see what is there. So Bhagavan is saying, those are sab vimudan. Those are mood. Means he said like they're muda. And what's it? Nashtan viddhi. Nashtan means nashta to kuch nahi hona hai. Nothing is going to be destroyed, but you won't get the knowledge. You won't get that learning. The spiritual elevation will not be there. Because you have so much of baggage of these negative things that you will not be elevated spiritually. That's what he's saying. So we'll go to the 33. We have to reach to 35. They're all together, right? So 33rd Shlok. Sadrasham cheshtate swasyah
तदृश्यं चेष्टते स्वस्यः
prakrite jnanvanapi
प्रकृते ज्ञानं वानपि
prakritim yanti bhutani
प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि
nigraha kim karishyati.
निग्रह किं करिष्यति। सभी प्राणी प्रकृति को प्राप्त होते हैं, अर्थात अपने स्वभाव के परवश हुए कर्म करते हैं। ज्ञानवान भी अपनी प्रकृति के अनुसार चेष्टा करता है, फिर इसमें किसी का हट क्या करेगा।
Even a man of knowledge acts in accordance with his own nature. Beings follow their nature. What can restraint do?
So Bhagavan is saying again, and we'll have more detail about how prakriti works, but in simple terms, it says that, and if you look at today's summary which I posted, one thing is called Swabhāv, and we are all made of three Gunas, in simple terms, Sattva, Raj, and Tamas. So we are all, our personality is the combination of these three Gunas. And if you remember, there is a pie chart I showed, but we'll again talk about. So we are born with that, because we are born with the nature, and nature has three Gunas, that's why we call it Trigunamayi Maya, and which is Bhagavan's power, but it is used for creation. So, and the Sattva is steadiness, like peace of mind or the knowledge, that is Sattva. Rajas is passion, driven activities. All the activities you do, there is some passion. I want to build mandir, I want to do this seva. And there is a lot of passion, right? That is Rajas. And Tamas, of course, inertia and rigidity. We don't want to do anything. We all are made up. And we all can analyze during the day. We have like surges, ups and downs of these three Gunas. In evening time, we are too tired. There is a Tamas. I'm not feeling good. I'm depressed. Those kind of things. So Bhagavan is saying that is called Swabhāv, because we are made of that. So we act according to the Swabhāv. Because all this, if I have Rajas, I'll do a lot of like activities, and I want to do something. कुछ ना कुछ करना है. अभी ध्यान करने को, अभी we all do ध्यान, right? करना भी चाहिए और करते ही हैं. How difficult it is. 5 मिनट के लिए अगर किसी को हमें बोलना है कि 5 मिनट के लिए कुछ नहीं करना, just बैठना है. Just observe your thoughts. We know it is one of the toughest thing to do. But I can watch a movie for 3 hours. I can watch a game for 4 hours. Overtime भी चला जाता है, double overtime. I'll keep watching. But if you have to do a 5-minute dhyan, real sense, then it is so tough. So because that Rajogun is majority of us bound by Rajogun and Tamogun, of course. So Sattvagun is that. So that's what our Swabhāv is. And it is human nature. We call it human nature. But then there is a call in the next Shlok we'll cover, but there is I'll just cover it. There is one called Dharma. Dharma is not religion. Is not a tradition. That's a different thing. We use the word Dharma for tradition, but Dharma is a universal guiding principle. And simple example, if you have to tell someone what is Dharma, Satya is Dharma. The truth is Dharma. Ahimsa, that's why we say Ahimsa Paramodhan. Ahimsa is Dharma. It has nothing to do with you're born in India or Africa or somewhere else or Christian or Hindu family. It doesn't matter. Truth is truth. So following those principles of truth, if I am saying truth, I am practicing Dharma. It is not that Dharma is tradition, right? So there is Swabhāv and there is a Dharma. And third, that's why it becomes Swadharma. So Bhagavan is going to talk in 35 Shlok, Swadharma, that's what I'm. So what is Swadharma? When Swabhāv is bound by those universal principles, then it becomes Swadharma. Rajogun, my nature is Rajogun. I want to do a lot of things. But are those things are valid? Are those things are valid for everyone, whole humanity? Yes, because if it is Dharma, then it becomes my Swadharma. So that Swabhāv should be bound by the dharmic principle. And it's like the example given. I like to drive fast. And a lot of our friends said, I have a big foot. When I sit from Cincinnati, Sanjay, Boston, I can reach in 9 hours. मेरा ticket मिल जाता तो कोई problem नहीं, but I just drive 80, right? Yeah, there is a rule. The rule is made because there could be accident, and not only you are a good driver. Oh, I have a very controlled driving. I don't sleep on the steering, so I can drive 80. No, the rule is meant for the safety of everyone, not just for you. So that safety, those road rules are dharma. My Rajogun says I'm a good driver. I have big SUV and it is very powerful. Yeah, that's okay. You have a big SUV, powerful, but there is a rule. So same thing in life. You have Rajogun, you have Tamogun, but dharma should decide how much I use, how to use, and that's the sadhana. We'll talk about that. The entire Bhagavad Gita is about that. Yeah, how the combination of, and that has become Swadharma. Very, very nice topic. So let me share very quickly one slide and then we will do 34, 35. So you see my screen, right?
Not yet.
Yeah. No, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is Swadharma, right? Dharma is the guiding principles. Then there is these two are aptitude is that what we are talking about, the Swabhāv, and personal goals we decide based on the Swabhāv. But while deciding that personal goal, I have some laksh. This is my aptitude, means my nature or Swabhāv. There is Dharma. So when they all three intersect, that is Swadharma. I mean, this is, you can take this whole thing and I have practically done that. I put my own things here and then this is my Swadharma. So when they all three intersect, that is Swadharma. It's just a small part. And once, because otherwise Rajogun will tell me to do a lot of things, or Tamogun will, and I have big goals. But do these big goals fall into the category of Dharma, universal, for everyone, benefit of? If yes, then it is my Swadharma. Like for this, in this case, Arjun wanted to run away, sannyas lena tha. Bhagwan ne kaha, sannyas kidhar lene ja raha hai? Dharma raksha hai. If people are waiting for you. So now your personal goal, whatever sannyas is a good thing. Your attitude is you are a Kshatriya, you want to do something. तो युद्ध क्यों नहीं लेना, संन्यास लेना है, like that. See, this is रजोगुण. संन्यास अपने आप होता है, वैसे लिया नहीं जाता कि भाग रहे संन्यास. So भगवान says there is a dharma. Dharma is the raksha of people. So that is your Swadharma, Arjun. So all we can decide over it. So that's what next two shloka about. So we'll read 34 and then 35. But Swadharma is part in this discussion, right? So 34 shloka. Indriyasya indriyasyarthe
Indriyasya
ragadvesho vyavasthito
ragadvesho vyavasthito
tayorna vasham agaccheta
tayorna vasham agaccheto
to hi asya paripantino.
हास्य परिपंथिनो. इंद्रिय के अर्थ में अर्थात प्रत्येक इंद्रिय के विषय में राग और द्वेष छिपे हुए स्थित हैं. मनुष्य को उन दोनों के वश में नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि वे दोनों ही इसके कल्याण मार्ग में विघ्न करने वाले महान शत्रु हैं.
Attachment and aversion for the objects of the senses abide in the senses. Let none come under the dominion of these two, for they are one's enemies.
Yeah, so in the previous shloka, Bhagavan says that because everything is driven by prakriti, your Swabhāv, right? So Bhagavan is the word he uses, nigraha kim karishyati. So if you suppress them, it's not going to help. So suppression is, I mean, I feel like eating sugar, Rajogun, right? But suppressing is not going to help. I have to understand why I should not eat sugar. Otherwise, then jwar aa jayega, vigat jwar, the previous shloka, right? Then I'll have, suppression means mental problem. Then you have the anxiety and you're not feeling good. So I need to understand why should not I eat this or whatever addiction. And that's what the whole addiction rehab mein jab jate hain. So we have to convince them not to do this. There is a benefit in not to doing this. That conviction has to come. Otherwise, it's a suppression. So Bhagavan is saying in this also that all these indriyas means sense objects. Sense objects are the rooted what? Likes and dislikes are rooted in sense objects. In simple terms, the Shlok says that. Sense objects means like tongue, which is one of the sense objects. I like sweet, I don't like sweet. That's a Swabhāv. So it's like, and Swabhāv is based on the sense objects are part of prakriti. So that's why my like typically parents लोग बच्चों के बारे में बोलते हैं, oh, one of the child, he or she likes sweet, other child doesn't like sweet or other. This is Swabhāv. The parents know that, and Swabhāv means senses. Not only like I want to. Some people say I like to see like sun, and some people say I don't like sun. So everything is sense object. I or hear. I like classical music. Somebody says I don't like pop. मेरे को हेडेक हो जाता है पॉप म्यूजिक. और क्लासिकल अगर होता है कोई त्यागराजन म्यूजिक तो I am a lot of आनंद, likes and dislikes, sense object, ear. So that is स्वभाव. So भगवान is saying that अर्जुन इनको वश में करना चाहिए, इनके वश में नहीं होना. ये राग द्वेष जो है, राग द्वेष में likes and dislikes. Don't be slave of these. So they enslave basically sense objects, and we are all, because that is a slave of our स्वभाव basically. Sense objects is nothing but स्वभाव. And so you have to overcome that. Otherwise, this Swabhāv will drive you to something which is. So there is a story. There was one husband and wife. They used to do like the street tricks basically. And the street tricks was like there is an apple she'll keep on her head, and then the husband will shoot an arrow, and it will always hit the apple. That's what the tricks people do, right? On the typically जो street tricks होती हैं, and it was their bread and butter, right? And they always did that, right? And someday it happened that there was a fight in husband and wife, and husband started disliking her. And one day there was such a big fight. He said, "I hate her." So next morning when I'm going to do the trick, instead of hitting the apple, I'll just shoot the arrow a little down, and she'll be done. He had so much anger in him, and he did that. So trick was there, every people are there, and he said, "Today I'm going to shoot her in her chest, and then it'll be done." He shot the arrow, and arrow just hit the apple and did the same thing. And he was kind of surprised. He said, "I shot the arrow towards her chest, and it just hit the apple." And he had tears in eyes. Later on, he told his wife that I had bad intention. But he said, "Now today I realize my senses are so powerful. So that has become my Swabhāv, that even if I wanted to shoot the arrow to some other place, it just shot the apple." That powerful Bhagavan is saying senses are. Your dislikes and likes and dislikes decide your personality. And we all know that. It becomes personality, right? And I can't change it. That's what Bhagavan is saying in the Shloka. So there was a little kid. The parents, when they were young parents, they said, "We have to find out." गीता का श्लोक पढ़ लिया उन्होंने कि हमें भी पता करना चाहिए हमारा जो यंग लड़का है करीब हाई स्कूल में, इसका स्वभाव क्या है, क्या करेगा ये. लाइक बड़ा होकर कुछ डॉक्टर बनेगा, कुछ साइंटिस्ट बनेगा, या कोई बिजनेसमैन बनेगा, या कोई साधु बनेगा, कुछ पता करना चाहिए. तो उन्होंने गीता में लिखा है कि भगवान ने स्वभाव आप इन चीज़ों से, राग द्वेष से, लाइक से डिसलाइक से पता लगता है. उन्होंने एक काम करते हैं, इन द रूम, when this kid is there, one day they kept in his room one that Heineken can, beer can, one Bhagavad Gita book, and then a dollar bills. And they say, "We'll see, if he takes dollar bill, he's going to be a businessman. If he takes Bhagavad Gita, he's going to be a sadhu. If he takes beer, means he's going to spoil things." They are watching, देखें क्या करता बच्चा है. तो बच्चा आया, उसने देखा तीनों चीजें. उसने बियर कौन खोला, पहले तो बियर पी ली, फिर डॉलर बिल जेब में रख लिया, भगवत गीता हाथ में लिया और बाहर निकली. Now how do you decide? This is likes and dislikes make your Swabhāv. So what Bhagavan is saying, be careful. And this likes and dislikes makes our character. So next Shloka is one of the most powerful Shloka of Bhagavad Gita, which is used many places. What is the purpose of saying all this? Bhagavan is saying now in the next Shloka. 35th, very famous Shloka. Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha.
Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha.
Pardharmatva Anushtitat.
Pardharmatva Anushtitat.
Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyah.
स्वधर्मे निधनम श्रेयः
परधर्मो भयावह।
परधर्मो भयावह। अच्छी प्रकार आचरण में लाए हुए दूसरे के धर्म से गुण रहित भी अपना धर्म अति उत्तम है। अपने धर्म में तो मरना भी कल्याणकारक है और दूसरे का धर्म भय को देने वाला है।
Better is Swadharma, which is one's own duty, though devoid of merit, than Paradharma, which is duty of another, well discharged. Better is death in Swadharma. Paradharma is fraught with fear.
Right. So let's look at bring that picture in mind, right? Swadharma. Here is a goal, some goal I have in life. Here is my Swabhāv, which is prakriti, and here is a dharma, which is universal principle value. And we have to decide. So Bhagavan, what Bhagavan is saying in this Shlok, Swadharma. So we each one of have to decide what is my Swadharma. In this case, Arjun's Bhagavan says, Arjun, this is your Swadharma. Even if you die in this war. So that we call it in the modern terms calling. मुझे ये सबसे अच्छा लगता है, इसके लिए मैं मरने को तैयार। वो एक गाना है, आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है, आज फिर मरने का इरादा है, right? Means you love that so much that you are just ready to die for this cause. So Bhagavan is saying, Swadharmo viguna. If you look at the summary also, I put it there, right? So therefore, Arjun, one's own duty, Swadharma, is best choice. Because there is always we think, should I do it or should I do that? So it's like exercise for everyone. And that's the reason probably we read Bhagavad Gita, and not only people like us, scholars, everybody reads. I mean, I have numerous examples we have seen. Because Bhagavad Gita is a guidebook, like playbook of life. It tells some sutra or some formula which you can put the values, your values, and find the answer. Like these days with ChatGPT and all AI tools have come. If you give the right data, the AI tool will give the right answer. If you give the wrong data, right, the tool will give the wrong answer. So same thing, Bhagavad Gita, all these principles, sutra. This is a sutra shlok. We feed the value into this. This is going to tell me exactly what is my Swadharma and what should be my calling. Of course, Swabhāv se aati hai. So that's what we'll talk when we will continue this. So there is a question also, we'll talk about that. So Swabhāv ko kaise change karna, that is the trick. So otherwise तो स्वभाव बच्चों वाला एग्जांपल मैंने आपको दिया कि वो तो सारी जिंदगी तीनों का आनंद लेते रहेंगे आप. No, we have to rise above that. And that's what the whole sadhana is. We will talk about that. Next, many Shlok Bhagavan talks about how do we do that. But the bottom line is that tamogun se rajogun, rajogun se sattvagun, and we have to, some of us, maybe in many, which life we don't know. In this life, other life, we will become gunatit, going beyond that, all three gunas. And that's the purpose. And then you are jivan mukt, freedom. Right? So we'll stop here and then take the question which is very relevant to the same thing we'll talk about. But before we close, Swadharme nidhanam shreya. Means even if you have to give your life for that calling, there is a joy in that. And we numerous examples, and the best examples are the soldiers. Like people like us have very little sacrifice in our life. थोड़ा बहुत इधर donation हम लोग देते हैं, कुछ थोड़ी बहुत सेवा दिवाली इकट्ठी कर लेते हैं, food हम लोग खुश हो जाते हैं, ये हो गई सेवा. इसीलिए that's why classic example always soldiers, if you take that. So there was a soldier in America during the Revolutionary War in 1750s, around that time, Nathan Hale. It's a very famous young soldier, 21-year-old. So he was executed by British, and they asked him the last word, do you have any wish? So, I mean, anything you want to say? So he said, yeah, only thing I want to say is that I only regret that I have but one life to give for my country. That's the only regret I have. They asked him, do you have any regret because we are executing? That is called the calling. Nidhanam Swadhanam, like Bhagat Singh's example. Many examples are there. So there is a song there is a Hakikat movie in India, long time, China-India war. It was they shook the entire country. They brought the entire country together. Some of us may remember that 1961 China War. So the Hakikat movie was made in that. And there is a song in that Hakikat movie that जिंदा रहने के मौसम बहुत है मगर जान देने की रुत रोज आती नहीं हुस्न और इश्क दोनों को रुसवा करे वो जवानी जो खून में नहा. Jawani means when youth has a lot of energy and power. Is that power is used for a meaningful purpose? And yes, that's what soldiers do that. So classic example. And Arjun is soldier here, and we all should be soldier for in some or other sense. That's what Bhagwan is saying here. So we'll stop here, and I'll take that question, and that question also addresses the kind of